The next court date is April 1st, 2026. And in the weeks since we last saw Judge Clancy's courtroom, something has been happening behind the scenes, something that just surfaced in public court filings today. The prosecution has made a move, a quiet, procedural move that could either confirm everything the defense has been claiming or blow their entire case wide open. They've requested Romica Meeks Blackman's medical records from Stroger Hospital, and the judge said yes. But here's the question that should keep everyone up tonight. What exactly are they looking for? And why now? Before we unravel this new development and what it means for Holly Johnson, Carlos Smith, and the pursuit of justice, this is True Crime Unraveled. If you're joining us for the first time, or you've been here since September, hit that subscribe button on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and TikTok at True Crime Unraveled TV. We see your comments, we read every single one, and we appreciate every single one of you who keeps this story alive. Now let's get into it. For those just joining this ongoing saga, let's quickly catch you up. Romica Meeks was murdered on September 8th, 2025. Shot 3 times in the face in broad daylight near her son's school. Holly Johnson was arrested 90 days later, in December, after initially being released without charges. Since then, there have been 3 bond hearings, all denied. Judge Clancy has been clear. Holly is a danger to the community. The evidence is strong, and no conditions of release can guarantee public safety. The last court date was March 3rd, 2026. That hearing was largely procedural, both sides checking in on discovery, with the prosecution gathering evidence and the defense continuing their appeal under Rule 604H, trying to get that pretrial detention decision overturned. Holly remains in protective custody, 23 hours a day awaiting trial. Carlos Smith remains free, giving interviews, claiming the truth will come out. And now, fresh court filings have emerged that add a new layer to this already complex case. Let me read you exactly what these documents reveal. The prosecution has formally requested Romica Meeks Blackman's medical records from Stroger Hospital, the hospital where she was taken after the shooting and where she was later pronounced deceased. But here's the key detail. The prosecution also asked the court to authorize something called a Qualified Protective Order, or QPO. The judge approved it. Now, what is a Qualified Protective Order? In plain language, it's a legal shield. It allows attorneys involved in the case to review sensitive medical information while keeping those records protected under federal HIPAA privacy laws. That means these records will not be released publicly. They will not be part of the open court file. Only the prosecution and the defense will see what's inside. So why would prosecutors need Romica's medical records? The documents hint at the answer. They state that medical documentation can be requested to determine whether any additional injuries or medical findings were recorded during treatment or examination. And here's where it connects to everything we've been discussing. Witnesses have described a physical confrontation before the shooting. Remember what the eyewitness told us? She said Carlos was slamming her with a door when she was standing in her doorframe. And then Carlos grabbing her by the waist, then by the neck in what looked like a headlock.
I was actually the one at the scene. So I was the one that was yelling out to arrest her because everybody wasn't doing anything. I was actually the one who called the cops first. And I saw them when they were fighting in the beginning. And I was like, this is not right. He was slamming her with the door when she was standing in her door frame, not even close to the female on the other side. So she was literally standing on the other side of the road, and her baby daddy was literally slamming the door on her back. So she went back into her car, came back out, and then this was when the baby daddy walked towards the other baby mama. After this happened, he grabbed her by the waist. She tried to wiggle away from him. Her arm was like literally almost getting free with his arm around her neck this time, because he was holding her by the waist in the beginning and she wiggled out, After this happened, he had her in the, like, almost looking like a headlock to me on the side. And then the other baby mama stated, "I'm going to shoot you, bitch. Watch me shoot you, bitch." And he stated, she's gonna go get her gun. She's gonna go get her gun. Watch. And after this happened, she ran to the passenger side of her vehicle, grabbed her gun, went around, and when the woman, the mother, who slipped away from him for at least like maybe a good second, as soon as she slipped away, she shot her, and she shot her in the face, on her side, and in her thigh. And I saw him like holding her for a split second. Maybe he was in shock, but after he was in shock, I guess he picked her up, and when she was falling, like a gush of blood fell, you know, like out of her body. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, I don't know. Everybody else sees movies, you know what I mean, and they see put pressure on the wound. Why weren't you putting pressure on the wound? Why weren't you caring enough? This supposedly was your first baby mama, because when I was on the bus, I heard him and her screaming, and she was literally saying, she was like, I just dropped off my fucking baby. What? I just dropped off my fucking baby. Are you guys kidding me? As soon as I got off the 21 bus, and trust me, they got it. You know what I mean? Everything that I literally had to, I wasn't gonna let her die like that. I literally looked into her eyes. That hurt me. She says she dropped her baby off, and you don't know who she is. You know what I mean? And I was like, arrest her. She needs to get arrested. You know what I mean? They weren't even thinking. There was another black female cop who came up, and a Mexican shore cop. And I pointed out, I was like, the guns in her car, Why wouldn't you give him the gun if supposedly this was, a self-defense? You know what I mean? If it was hey, here's the gun, this is what happened. It was no self-defense. I swear to you, it did not look like no self-defense. It looked like you shot her because you were just angry or something. You know what I mean? And to me, when she shot her, it wasn't it. The female that got shot, she wasn't with any gun. She didn't have no weapon, no knives, no nothing. So what was it that frightened you so much? You had to run around your car, go into your passenger seat, or whatever the case is, and you reached in to get your gun and shoot this woman. So to me, it was a senseless. They were arguing because she was pulling up, and I guess they ended up parking. Why was her car parked on the sidewalk? Because I seen she ran towards the sidewalk to get her gun, and it was a small black vehicle, and he had a black truck, I think. And literally, he came out of his truck looking like real, like he wasn't like on anything but being like mischievous, like nothing but like what was like he was planning something, you know what I mean? And I called the cops on the first time I called the cops, it was because he was attacking her, and the other girl was just yelling at her, and she was arguing back. So there was nothing going on for her to be like, oh, I'm going to step back over here to go get my gun.
These claims have been disputed. Carlos has denied them. But now, prosecutors are going straight to the source, to Romica's own body, to the medical records that documented her injuries before she died. If Romica arrived at Stroger with bruising, with fractures, with any trauma consistent with being slammed by a car door or choked, those records will show it. And if they show it, they corroborate the witness. They undermine Carlos's denials. They paint a picture of a coordinated attack, not self-defense. Let's analyze what this means for both sides. For the prosecution, this is about building an airtight timeline. They already have witnesses. They have video. They have ballistics. They have the autopsy. But medical records add something unique. Objective, clinical documentation created by medical professionals who had no stake in the outcome. If those records show defensive wounds, if they show injuries consistent with being restrained or beaten, it becomes nearly impossible for the defense to argue that Romica was the aggressor. It shifts the entire narrative. For the defense, this could be devastating, or depending on what the records show, it could be helpful. Attorney Ari Williams has been building a self-defense case, arguing that Romica was violent and that Holly feared for her life. If the medical records show Romica had injuries consistent with attacking someone, the defense could use that. But here's the problem. The witness testimony says Romica was the one being attacked, not the one attacking. And if the medical records align with that witness, the defense loses credibility. Now consider the possible outcomes. Outcome 1. The records show Romica had defensive wounds, injuries on her hands, arms, or body consistent with trying to protect herself from an assault. This helps the prosecution. It confirms she was the victim of the physical altercation, not the instigator. It makes the self-defense claim even harder to sell. Outcome 2. The records show Romica had offensive wounds, injuries consistent with her being the one swinging, striking, or attacking. This could help the defense. It would support their narrative that Romica was violent and that Holly had reason to fear her. But remember, even if Romica threw a punch, she was unarmed. And being unarmed while the other person has a gun changes everything. Outcome 3. The records are inconclusive, showing only the gunshot wounds and nothing definitive about the altercation. This leaves both sides where they are now, relying on witness testimony and video evidence. Here's my analysis, based on everything we know. The prosecution wouldn't be requesting these records unless they believed something in them supports their case. They've already got witnesses. They've already got video. They're not fishing, they're confirming. They want to walk into that courtroom with medical documentation that puts Romica's injuries on display for the jury. They want the jury to see that before Holly ever pulled that trigger, Romica was already being assaulted. And think about the timing. This request comes after the March 3rd hearing, after the defense filed their appeal, after Carlos has been out there giving interviews talking about deflection. The prosecution is methodically building their fortress, brick by brick. Witness testimony, surveillance footage, ballistics, and now medical records. If those records show what the witness described, the car door slamming, the chokehold, then Carlos's public statements become even more problematic. Because if he was denying something that medical evidence proves happened, his credibility with the jury is gone. And if his credibility is gone, so is his usefulness as a witness for either side. So where does this leave us as we head toward April 1st? It leaves us waiting for a document we may never see, sealed under HIPAA, known only to the prosecution, the defense, and the judge. But the very existence of this request tells us something important. The state is leaving no stone unturned. They are pursuing every piece of evidence, every record, every witness. They are building a case designed to withstand whatever the defense throws at it. The question for you is this. What do you think those medical records will show? Do you believe they'll confirm the witness's account of Carlos slamming Romica with a car door? Or will they be inconclusive, leaving the case to rest on the testimony we already have? Drop your thoughts in the comments and take part in our poll on this video. We read every single one. And to our incredible community, thank you. Thank you to everyone who has supported this channel, shared these videos, and kept Romica's name alive. Special thanks to our super gifters, our loyal commenters, and everyone who hits that like button. You are why this story hasn't faded away. If this update added value to your understanding of the case, please subscribe to True Crime Unraveled on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and TikTok at True Crime Unraveled TV. Share this video. Let's make sure that when April 1st comes, the world is watching. For Romica, for her son, for the truth. We'll see you in the next update.